A calming yet slightly mysterious ambient music begins to play softly in the background. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're taking a deep dive into a powerful and at times unsettling chapter of history from a beautiful island nation. We're going back to the late 1980s, a period when Sri Lanka was a land truly divided by fear. It was a time when cities trembled under the weight of curfews, and villages whispered about unexplained disappearances. The Janatha Vimukthi Peramuna, or JVP, had launched its second uprising, aiming to overthrow the government in power. What unfolded over the next decade was a time of immense terror. But beyond the official war waged between the insurgents and the state, another, more secret battle was being fought. Hidden away in a seemingly quiet housing complex known simply as Batalanda. It's a story that reveals the dark undercurrents of conflict and the silent screams of those caught in its grip. Music shifts slightly, becoming a bit more somber. Batalanda. That name, once synonymous with a peaceful residential scheme nestled in the Biagama area, was tragically about to become a symbol of horror. Locals living nearby began to notice a disturbing pattern. Vans would arrive under the cover of midnight, their headlights cutting through the darkness. Men, their faces obscured, would drag others inside these vehicles, and often those people were never seen again. For years, whispers and rumors circulated like an unseen current. That Batalanda was a secret detention center, a clandestine torture site, a place where the dark underbelly of politics and power operated unchecked. But for a very long time, the full, chilling truth remained hidden from public view. It stayed buried until a courageous commission of inquiry was finally formed, determined to uncover what lay beneath the silence. Music becomes more introspective. In 1995, a pivotal moment arrived when President Chandrika Kumaratunga courageously established a commission of inquiry. Its crucial mandate was to investigate the alleged unlawful detention and horrifying torture that had taken place at Batalanda. 3 years of diligent investigation later, in 1998, the Batalanda Commission Report was finally released. What it revealed were truly shocking details, painting a stark picture of unimaginable suffering. Witnesses stepped forward, bravely recounting their experiences in rooms of pain, describing the use of electric wires and the ceaseless sounds of agony that echoed through the complex. The commission definitively found that a detention and torture center had indeed operated there, chillingly, under the very protection of the state. Yet despite this overwhelming evidence, despite the meticulous investigation, no major convictions ever truly followed. A painful reminder that truth doesn't always lead to justice. Music darkens slightly. The report was damning, implicating several high-ranking officials, including police officers and influential local political figures. But one name, in particular, ignited a national firestorm and drew intense public scrutiny. Ranil Wickramasinghe, who at the time was the Member of Parliament for Biagama. While the commission held him politically responsible for the events that transpired, it crucially stopped short of recommending criminal prosecution against him. This finding, while significant, unleashed a furious political storm across the nation. Arguments raged, accusations flew, and the public demanded answers. Yet, despite the outcry, despite the revelations, the promise of true justice, once again, seemed to fade into the shadows, lost behind closed doors and the complex web of power. Music becomes more tense, reflecting the historical context. To truly grasp the horror and significance of Batalanda, we must place it within the terrifying context of the JVP insurrection itself. From 1987 to 1989, the JVP unleashed a brutal campaign across Sri Lanka. It was a period marked by assassinations, widespread strikes, and calculated acts of sabotage that crippled the nation. They mercilessly targeted police, soldiers, and even ordinary civilians who dared to defy their stringent orders. In response, the government retaliated with equally brutal force, escalating the cycle of violence. Thousands were arrested, and tragically, many of them simply vanished, never to reappear. The state, in its justification, argued that its actions were absolutely necessary to protect the very fabric of the republic. But in that clandestine shadow war, Batalanda emerged not as a symbol of justice, but as a chilling monument to vengeance, disguised under a false pretense. Music softens, becoming more melancholic and empathetic. The human cost of this era was immense, etched forever in the hearts of countless families. Mothers and fathers frantically searched morgues, clutching faded photographs of their missing sons and daughters, desperately hoping for a sign of life. Some families heard chilling rumors, whispers that their loved ones were last seen at Batalanda, a name that became synonymous with dread. Survivors, who bravely came forward, recounted harrowing experiences. Dark concrete rooms, impossibly small and airless, filled with the agonizing sounds of screams. One witness, their voice still trembling decades later, recalled, "You could hear people begging for water." Then, a terrifying silence. Another claimed officers routinely used electric wires and even pipes during their brutal interrogations. Decades have passed, but those memories remain intensely vivid, raw, and unhealed. Yet for many, official justice still feels painfully distant. Music becomes quiet, almost hushed. In the year 2000, after much anticipation, the Batalanda Commission Report was finally tabled in Parliament. It became public, shedding a brief but intense light on the atrocities. But tragically, as quickly as it emerged, it seemed to be forgotten, overshadowed by the passage of time and the desire for peace. The new century brought a fragile calm to the surface of Sri Lankan society, but beneath that veneer, deep and unhealed wounds festered. No memorials were ever built to honor the victims. No officials were truly punished for their roles. Only the haunting whispers of the past survived, echoing mournfully through the now empty corridors of the Batalanda Housing Scheme, a silent testament to what occurred. Music slowly swells, becoming more reflective and hopeful, but with an underlying solemnity. Today, Batalanda appears, on the surface, like any other ordinary neighborhood. Children play innocently where soldiers once stood guard, their laughter a stark contrast to the darkness that once enveloped the area. But for those who remember, for those whose lives were forever scarred, it is far more than just a housing complex. It is sacred ground, a place of profound sorrow, a repository of unanswered questions, and an enduring symbol of a past that refuses to be silenced. The Batalanda Commission Report remains one of Sri Lanka's most crucial, yet undeniably painful investigations. It serves as a powerful, haunting reminder that every nation carries its own ghosts, its own difficult histories. And sometimes, in the face of such profound suffering, silence itself can become the loudest, most damning confession of all. This, my friends, is the complex, heartbreaking story of Batalanda, a place where truth was tragically buried, but where memory, steadfast and unyielding, absolutely refuses to die. Thank you so much for watching and for taking the time to learn about this important history. If you found this video informative, please consider hitting that like button, sharing it with others, and subscribing to the channel for more in-depth explorations. Your support truly helps us bring these stories to light. We'll see you in the next one.